So thanks, Lacey, and thanks everyone for sharing such a special Tuesday with us. I hope everyone has already voted here. We won't want to keep anyone from that particularly special task this afternoon. I did mine last week just to make sure, because I knew that I was coming to present here. So I'm a board member with the Iron Range Partnership for Sustainability, which has a presence throughout the whole range. So Ely on the east end, all the way to Grand Rapids on the west. And I share the board with one other Elyites, and I'll let Cass introduce himself, but I think I've presented here before many years ago. And so I've just been on this board now for about 2 years. And thank you again for turning out today. My name is Heather Hohenstein, and here's Cass. Oh, and we're passing a sheet of paper and a pen around if you'd like to share your email address with us. At the end of the presentation, you'll see how you want to be more involved. So thanks.
Well, good to see so many familiar faces. I'm Ebbs. I'm a business owner here in Ely, and IRPS his mission to increase sustainability is also the field I'm working in. And as a fellow Elyiite, I would like to share our information with you. And there will be a quiz at the end and a chance to win some local produce.
See about that. Now does it work? There we go.
Yep. Good stuff. All right. So sustainability is something that we've probably heard a lot in the past few years. And it means different things to everyone. And that definition continues to evolve. So when we at IRPS say sustainability, we're investing in the future, making sure that Iron Range doesn't get left behind in the growth curves of green energy, diversity and inclusion, and making sure that here stays a good place to live. And we need to partner with other businesses, other nonprofits in order to do that. So we were first founded in 2008 at the Messiah Lutheran Church. We conceived a plan to initiate an Earth Day festival to bring the Iron Range together around local traditions and practical resources for sustainable living. So that first Earth Fest was in 2009. There was a little interruption because of COVID, but we continued again in 2021. So we started local here in the Iron Range, and that's where we're going to leave it. We've done a lot of Earth Days since then, and it's a good place to draw in people and resources that are here in Ely. So sustainability means a lot to everyone, but here's how we define it. So promoting sustainability means meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. So IRPS focuses its work on the interrelationship of three primary elements of sustainability: community, economy, and environment. So communities thrive when we're working together. We can't self-isolate and expect the world to be a better place. We're all in this together, and our actions influence each other. So IRPS really strives to connect the community. There's people here in Ely who know a lot about solar panels. There's others who do have local gardens, and IRPS wants to be that bridge to connect people to resources. And if you look around the Iron Range, it's abundant. People here generally care about the wilderness. That's why a lot of people come here, and they have information on how to best do that, and sharing it with the community will only help us in the long run. So focusing locally. The evolving cultural, racial, and ethnic diversity of the Iron Range is a source of sustainability. So no government could exclude people and not expect to collapse. So increasing diversity, making people feel welcome to come here, and making sure that everyone feels at home here in the Iron Range, especially as we get more people coming for things such as climate refugees. The climate crisis is happening, and to acknowledge that, we need to be willing to accommodate people from a wide variety of backgrounds. So every generation has a stake in sustainability. With knowledge, experience, skills to share, IRPS encourages learning and partnership across multiple generations. So we've worked with businesses and other nonprofits with a wide range of people from various ages and backgrounds. And this helps our mission because as time changes, the people and resources that we have also changes. So maybe now we're thinking about sustainability may include solar panels, but maybe in the next 10 years, there's going to be a new, better technology that our future generations are more knowledgeable about than we are. And we need to keep that flexible and diverse learning by incorporating people from many different backgrounds. It's all right. There we go. Communities thrive when they recognize relationships between personal and planetary health. IRPS collaborates in local initiatives that foster health and support environmental justice. So as you are voting today, environmental justice might have been something you thought of. So a lot of things that's on the ballot is climate related. The climate crisis that's happening and will continue to happen will always be a political driver. So IRPS really wants to address these issues, increase our forest health, because it does affect us. Here in Ely, we enjoy the nice, clean air. And if that's suddenly, if Ely becomes a big city like New York, how's that going to change? Is that going to be sustainable for us? are people still gonna want to come here and enjoy our natural resources? So IRPS works for the future. For the children who would be coming here and for the people who are currently here to share their knowledge. And we do that in a couple different ways by partnering with different nonprofits and businesses that Heather's going to introduce you to.
Great, thank you. So a little recap, because like you said, there's gonna be a quiz and there's prizes. So our value statements that fed into the mission statement are: number one, promote sustainability; number two, bring people and communities together; number three, raise awareness. You might have missed that slide. We'll go back again. Number four, focus locally; number five, engage multiple generations; and number six, foster personal and planetary health. So think of your favorite one, and then I'll ask at the end. So like Hess said, we act as an umbrella nonprofit for many smaller but important projects throughout the range. And we have the financial and organizational structure to kind of take everybody that doesn't want to have their own board and their own 501c3 under our umbrella. Whoops. Did I go the wrong way? There we go. So most of what those organizations were and are when IRPS started are community gardens and farmers markets, because it's really hard to be organized and go to board meetings and keep finances and all of that when you really just want to be out in the dirt and enjoying the sunshine and rain, 3 short months out of the year here in Northeast Minnesota. Our 2 big events throughout each year are Earth Fest, as Cass mentioned, and then there's a few things that happen at Earth Fest that have become fun traditions. This year we gave away 4 $500 grants for the Green Innovators Expo. And then, that was the Community Sustainability Initiative where we gave away the grants. The Green Innovators Expo was for students around the Iron Range. And then our second big event each year, and this is the one where most of our fundraising comes from. We're grant supported, but then this is our major fundraiser. And some of you have probably attended Pasty Fest, or at least been able to get some of the frozen pasties, which my kids, being pasty gurus, say they are the best that they've ever eaten. But don't tell the grocery stores here in town. Where these 2 events have evolved is in the area of electronics recycling. So every time we have Earth Fest, which is usually on or around Earth Day each April, and then Pasty Fest, harvest time with local foods in October. So we do have fun involving the kids and such, but we also have very serious and sought after program for all of us as citizens to attend these events and bring in our electronics for recycling. So we've seen that to be a pretty big need, piling up in people's garages around, around this area. And so that's something we've started offering at both Earth Fest and Pasty Fest. Other organizations that are under the umbrella of IRPS, or as we say, partnership, the Arrowhead Grown, the local food economic driver was a report that was done with graduate students a couple of years back before I was on the board, but it's interesting. Northeast Minnesota Farmer Financial Guide, we helped with that. And all of this is on our website too, if it sparks anyone's interest to go and take a look after. Another report that was written by graduate students, models and gap analysis for producers, processors, retailers, and distributors in Northeast Minnesota. Grown on the Range initiative, Rutabaga project. So these are all, as you can tell, very agriculture based, which is something a lot of us don't think about as a natural resource driver in this area of the state, but it is. And then, like I said, it was community gardens and farmers markets that kind of were really the initial group that IRPS acted as the fiscal sponsor for. But we've also had other, I guess you'd call it a startup business. Harvest Nation is on the nearby on Boys Fort, where they are doing some innovative work with hydroponics. And so we've acted as a fiscal sponsor for them, as well as kind of getting away from farming or growing food per se, but other groups that align with our mission statement and values. So there was one called Felt Here, so a connection with mining and water using iron ore pellets to dye fabric. So that was kind of a neat group that was under our umbrella for a while. And then Masabi Outdoor Adventures, which value was that? Number 6, foster personal and planetary health. So Masabi Outdoor Adventures, certainly for personal health. And then some that are currently kind of getting up and running underneath the IRPS umbrella, the We Are Water, Minnesota, a traveling exhibit. It was at the Discovery Center in 2021. And we continue to support and promote that, as well as I mentioned, the promotion of electronics recycling. And one of our new board members, Keith Strava, I think is his last name, was running in the summer before Grant Hochschild got the endorsement. And so Keith's background and knowledge is, well, in a lot of things, but has been working with other board members on electronics recycling calculations and really how much that we have already is already out there. If we can bring it back in and recycle it properly, you know, to reduce the need for what we would call new mining, because sometimes the electronic recycling is called urban mining. I'm not going to go through all of the partnership organizations, but again, they're on our website. And there's more of the things that we've done. And Cass, I think this is where you were going to take over again. We've now added pictures to the presentation where it's more Ely centric, because we all live here. And so we thought this is the part you'd be most interested in hearing about. And then consider getting involved with IRPS. Because like I said, our board and our service area extends all across Northeast Minnesota. But here is some of the really cool stuff happens in Ely.
So what this is showing here is that we had a VCC group of students that started a garden club, and IRPS was helping organize these students in order to collect local produce. So a couple people had gardens that they couldn't harvest, or they had too much food to be used. So we went around and we collected some of these harvests and gave it back to the community. So there was quite a few beets and other produce that we collected, and we actually ended up doing 2 cooking classes at the folk school. One was chocolate beet brownies. So that's here, that's us here prepping those chocolate brie brownies, which is delicious. If you haven't tried it. But yeah, and then see on the corner here is Andy and Paula Hill, and they got their garden going last year, and the VCC group here helped them prepare that garden.
Oh, this is my favorite. This is one of my favorite projects, specifically with the VCC students, because they provided the labor, IRPS provided the organization and any like money that was needed, which sometimes comes in the form of pizza, because get students together to do some work and then you have pizza. But Dorothy Moulter Museum was the beneficiary then of that student labor of moving soil. And the soil came from, it was Joe Saliga's old garden, so over on Patterson Street, where he had his career of building canoes, and all of those cedar, all of the shavings went into the ground, and he had amazing garden soil, which in Ely, we know how valuable that is, right? We're scraping away at the bedrock. And here at Joe's garden, which became Pam Brunfeld's garden, that's who lived there. And most recently, I had the pleasure of gardening there, because the soil was literally 2 feet deep, the blackest, richest soil. And so when Pam was moving, and you know, we knew the history of the soil, and then we were connected with a canoe that was out of commission. And so we organized all of that to go to the Dorothy Moulter Museum. So moving 5-gallon buckets of Joe's soil into the canoes at Dorothy Moulter Museum and planting flowers there. So that was my personal favorite project. Let me see if I'll continue to talk though, just for 2 more slides. With 2 summers ago, there was, well, we did a couple projects that we wouldn't normally do when EarthFest did not happen in person form for 2 years. And so one of those things was to do a driving tour of solar installations from Ely to Grand Rapids. And so some of you were probably involved with this. In Ely, it took place from June 21st to the 28th. And we looked at, so it was a self-guided driving tour, and it's still on the IRPS website that gives specific information about each of these places. So Pragus, of course, there was a children's activity hosted at the library, which of course the library has solar, and then the electric car recharger. Wolf Track Energy, installing and answering questions, a laundry room, the laundromat on the main street, Motel Ely, and then the Ely Senior Citizen Center has had solar for a number of years. So that was kind of the kickoff for this whole tour. But as you can see then, Boys Sport Reservation, July 8th through the 13th, Virginia, Bowabic area, mid-July, Mount Iron, end of July, Hibbing, August, and then ending in Grand Rapids at the, or near, not at, but near their airport. They have a solar farm. So that was a really fun and I guess innovative project where we weren't able to do EarthFest. So we put on this special self-guided driving tour. And like I said, all of that information is still on the IRPS website. And these are just pictures of the local, the places that we highlighted during that tour. Do you want to ask for the quiz questions, or do you want to deliver the prizes? Okay. So I'm hoping that each of you attach to one of the 6 values that you find to be your favorite: promote sustainability, bring people and communities together, raise awareness, focus locally, engage multiple generations, and foster personal and planetary health. Would anyone like to raise their hand and shout out their personal favorite value? There's a prize. Yes, in the back, I think that's Steve.
Personal and planetary.
Awesome. Steve gets a prize. Thank you, thank you. Is there another favorite out in the crowd? Oh, Bill, what would you like to share?
Engage multiple generations.
Very good. Engage multiple generation. Bill gets a prize. Thank you. Anyone else? Now we're getting into the first four. So that was having to remember a long time ago, like, I don't know, 25 minutes ago. Yes. Come together. Yes, bring people and communities together. Thank you, Lacey, for your prize. Well, I brought enough to hit all of the values. And I might have to go back to a slide that we accidentally skipped, but does that spark anyone's awareness of what maybe I skipped and we were unaware that we accidentally skipped? Yes, in the local, yes, focus locally, number 4. Thank you very much. So there's 2 left.
Earthworm eradication.
No and no, although those are good things. I will give it to Cato and underneath promote sustainability. Diversity was one of our key pillars to promoting sustainability. So we'll go with that. And then the last one, see if I can get to the slide that we were not aware that we skipped. But number 3 was actually raise awareness. So there it is. And that's the one that I guess I connect with the most, just because I've lived in almost all of the towns that IRPS services. And so it's funny, you know, you live in your own little bubble and then, you know, not necessarily connecting with others that have a very similar environment. And so I do appreciate being on the board that stretches from Grand Rapids all the way through the Iron Range up to Ely. And I think that's it. I'll put the website up on the screen, and then both Cass and I can field questions.
I do have the microphone over here, and it is best if people can share their questions via the microphone so the Zoom audience can hear. We do have an engaged Zoom audience. We already have one question.
Yeah, I think you.
Yeah. So you mentioned community, economy, and environment. You started at a church. Are other religious organizations part of the Iron Range Partnership for Sustainability? This person, Frederica, suggests spirituality should be the 4th issue, but not everyone necessarily agrees, but that is Frederica's contribution. So you have other religious organizations that are a part of your partnership.
We do not have religious organizations. I think that the founding board was, you know, not wanting to pigeonhole into that, but as the question asked or noted, that spirituality could be one of our values, along with the environment and economy. I was trying to get to the website.
Oh, you want the website
Yeah.
up? Okay, sorry.
I thought the link was live.
Yep.
So the short answer is no, but the longer answer is, I guess, good question.
Oh, wait, I see what you're doing. All right, I'll get there in a second. Does anyone have a question? I can.
So what are some of your future green projects? Maybe some things that are on the radar for you.
Well, the biggest one that has gotten off to, I guess, a hobbly start the last 2 summers But that's okay, because as we noted about Jill Saliga, it takes many, many years to grow good soil. But it's been the community garden and resurrecting that a group started about 10 years ago. And its current location is on Pattison Street, but it is behind the Sibley Apartments, where Pattison Street, if you've driven back there lately, it actually does go all the way through and wraps around behind the hospital and comes out onto, I guess where Sheridan Street becomes 169 heading west out of town. So we know that location is not going to be sustainable. But we've continued to open that up for people to garden at. When Cass and I first got onto the board, we thought there would be a place at the college to move the community garden to quote unquote permanently, but that has not come to fruition yet. And then I guess I'll just follow up with the people who are on the board kind of drive projects. And so the electronics recycling is a really good example of that. So if any of you have a passion project and you don't want to start your own 501c3, you can certainly talk to us and see if you know, our base values align, and then that's where, you know, we extend that umbrella out over, I guess, what you would call passion projects. Becky.
For your community garden, I wonder if you have considered the land that our grandmothers and great grandmothers gardened between the college and the Forest Service. If you go back and wander through the woods, you can still see where the rocks were put up, were shoved out of garden areas and made rectangles of rocks. And that's where my grandma and other grandmas had their gardens a long time ago.
Oh, wow.
Now it may be so overgrown with trees that it's not sunny enough, but it would have a wonderful historic connection. And you talk about multi-generation. We can go back and use our grandmothers and great grandmothers' gardens. It would be pretty cool.
I love that idea. Maybe that's like a rhubarb plan for something that we could find out there with the rocks. Thank you for that idea.
Have you worked on merging like the community garden aspect and the solar aspect and worked on a community solar project?
Not yet. I think you should be on our board. No, I love that. Where we're, yeah, merging not just communities together and, you know, resources, but then actually taking, you know, interest areas and combining them. I think that's a great idea.
I wonder if you'd be willing to share maybe just a bit of your personal story and how you came to be interested in sustainability movements.
So,
Thank you.
So I first came to Minnesota to work with the Conservation Corps, and I spent 3 years in the Conservation Corps, and that's when my interest in doing natural resource work really took off for me. So since coming to Ely, I've been looking for chances to take down my arch enemy buckthorn, which hopefully isn't as bad in Ely, but yeah, I don't want it coming here. So I've been working, helping people get rid of buckthorn, and I realized that this forest has a lot of other issues that needs to get help managed. So I continued my career in natural resources, and sustainability just works right alongside that. As we get rid of the buckthorn or the dead and dying balsam, we need to replant it with something for better forest health. And we need people to come here and be interested in the land and be interested in growing local food and be willing to stay here and put their effort here. So that's where my interests really sparked, and I found the IRPS board after a year after I started my business, and my business advisor told me, have you heard of this organization? And it worked right alongside my goals.
Would you remind us of your business name?
Growing Futures.
And I alluded to living in each of the communities that IRPS services, and so I guess to even start out before that, when I grew up in Bemidji, Minnesota, so way far off in the west, I was just part of a family that we just grew all of our own food. So over many years, and then now having my own 2 children, I guess that's been a common theme, and also the theme of moving northeast, 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 and I guess I'll have to go to Canada next.
If you could just wave a magic wand and get 100 people to make one change in their lifestyle, what would you have that wand encourage them to do?
Who's you? Yeah.
That is a very good question. 100 people to make one change.
You don't get to pick which 100.
Yeah.
So I think the most important change we can make as consumers is just being knowledgeable about where the products we buy come from. So if it's packaged or processed in, say, China, and is coming here, even though that label price may be cheap, are we actually paying the environmental cost for that product? It's a good question to always have in the back of your head, as you know, it's convenient for plastic packaging and you're paying $3 for it. But what's the damage you're doing to the environment? If it's $10, $15, $20 worth of damage and you're buying a $3 product for it, then obviously that is not sustainable.
I'd like just to go with Tessa's answer. I was thinking on the other side of product life, just because one of the most recent projects that's really just getting up and running for IRPS is the electronics recycling. So when we are buying something that, you know, we think that we need, but it really, you know, in order to, you know, our quality of life, furthering our goals, raising our children, okay, I need this, but is that, you know, 5, 6, 10 years, and then, you know, 1,000 years in the ground? So I say that to my kids all the time, actually. Then there's another aspect. One of our board members has done quite a bit of research and has started presenting at the last 2, or just at the last Earth Fest, I guess, on plastics recycling. And like Kes said, stopping that before, you need to recycle it because you don't buy it in the first place. But I guess if 100 people were really invested in that full life cycle and going back to the manufacturers, almost more of a European model where, you know, the life of, well, say a phone, the usable life is a lot shorter than the life that it could potentially, you know, span as pollution. So I'd like more than 100 people, but that was the question.
And if you go visit our website, there is something you can do. You could sign up for our weekly newsletter. And when you get that newsletter, it's gonna have information about how you could volunteer, what events are coming up, and how you can be more sustainable yourself. And you can also become a sustaining partner And there's a couple of different options for that. So be sure to check out that website when you get a chance.
Any additional questions?
Thanks for serving on the board on behalf.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Right, we'll see y'all next week. We're gonna be learning about aging in place with our friends from Northwood Partners.